this is more of a perspective of Mindanaoan who wanted to go back and help this thing. So 15 minutes is quite short, so I'm going to be very fast. I was given 9 questions. So the track that you are in and then your role. So I was appointed to be a member of the Bangsamoro Civil Authority, which is parliament, but then we have executive and legislative authority. This is in the Bangsamoro region in Mindanao, in that place. But before that, I was Secretary of the Department of Public Works and Highways, and I think that's the one that is more relevant to you. As Secretary, I was overseeing around 700 employees plus more than 1,000 job orders, and I had helped implement more than 1,000 kilometers of roads in 4 years. But before that, again, I was a road specialist to one of the leading donor agencies of the United States, the Millennium Challenge Corporation. We had this 220 kilometers road project in Samar, and we were working with a lot of consultants, contractors, in building a road in the tourist places. How and when did you know that this career was for you? When I was growing up in Mindanao, I don't know if you guys have provinces, this is how it was like. The communities that looked like this, the roads were muddy, only motorcycles could go there. When I was growing up, my elders, my parents used to drink water in these kinds of wells. And up to now, many people still drink in that kind of dump wells. And some kids still cross by horses because there are bridges. And I used to sleep in a house like that, and I didn't feel like that. So I was accepted in the routine, and as a sincere challenge, we want to go back. And just be able to go down. When I came to I realized that there were only around 20 undergraduate Muslim students from Mindanao. In the College of Engineering, out of the 4,000 students, there were only 4 to 5 Muslim students there. So I had a deep sense of challenge. But as a young kid, what my mindset was, I want to finish the longest roads in Mindanao. That's why I kind of wanted to become a civil engineer. That means the poorest areas in the Philippines and my communities are located there. Skills and lessons that you learn in the university that you practice in your career. So that's me. I'm the one with Bill. So when I was still a student, I had that passion and purpose of wanting to finish. But mind you, I wasn't that intelligent. In Math 17, in calculus, I had a very difficult time. I would go to the point of attending class 3 times before the actual teacher would teach, just hoping that I would get the good grade that I was targeting. I had the skill, the mindset then, that diligence can beat intelligence. And if you have a purpose, you could go beyond even those who are much more intelligent than you. And I was grounded in that purpose and wanting to go back. Even as a student, I organized social activities. For example, that was 1 year after the peace agreement in 1996. So we thought that there would be peace, but then clearly it hasn't reached yet. But those kinds of organizing, the youth games organizing, any student organizing, are the development of skills, the development of how we talk to people, relate to people, assess societal challenges. One thing you may not have reached was Professor Quinio, who used to flunk a lot of students, many students, like 90%. And you know what he said? Because he said, out of other engineering schools, they think they're so easy. They're focused on ensuring that the student will pass the board exam. Why do you have require us to derive equations that you got from your own book? And he said, no, because I don't want you to become pencil pushers. Pencil pushers, because in the real world, the equations are not given. You must derive the equation. And yes, after getting a lot of punitive praise from him, I learned that. And when I became a professional, an engineer, and I also became a provincial administrator, I learned to derive these equations. And this is an equation I got when I got this 2-year training at the Asian Institute of Management to do systems thinking of finding the variables interrelating the peace in Mindanao. And this loop has been used for the past 12 years by the Asian Institute of Management in presenting how to make a systems analysis. And that skill I got from Professor Quinio, who always said that in the real world you have to learn the variables. And before presenting, I just made up some summary again. Another thing I learned from UP is never giving up. I remember each departmental exam, each time that is given, I would run around more than 10 rounds of the UP Academic Oval because as a Provincial, unlike many of you, I had a very difficult time in math and catching up with science students, but then I did it because of that sense of purpose. I was with a billionaire, the owner of Provincial, in an airplane, and he said, out of the 11 businesses I have, more than 20,000 employees, I realized one thing. In one country that we're not doing well, is because in that country they're not as passionate. There is no passion, if there is no wanting or need, you don't see a lot of effort from the person. And I said, maybe that's why I graduated from UP. The first in 100 years, more from our place because of that passion. I was able to leapfrog many of those who were educated very well because of that. Number 2, diligence. 3, purpose, and keep it going. So that is the drive that I had in UP. So there's one thing that it is that. Because knowledge, skills, and attitude you learn in UP. The knowledge, they won't ask you that because Google is there. But it's the skills and the attitude of keeping on going. What are the perks? So after graduation, I joined the Department of Public Works. Why? Because many of the UP students, they go to private companies. I understand because the salaries were high. But in government, you must remember, they are the one given the mandate to develop our communities. The resources are there. I made a survey. There are very few UP students going to Department of Public Works. I kept asking why? Because most of the UP students, they have a high pride and they would look up to their alumni who are also in private. And it takes a different kind of diligence to apply in government because when you apply for an open space, they will say, puno na yan. But then just try. And you must be humble enough that you will do routinary things while you are a new government worker. But good thing, Secretary Singson, who was from UP, did a cadetship, and now there's quite a number of UP students in the DPWH. You join that. Why would you join that? Because it's a big organization. Number 2, because it's the one mandated for changing your communities. That is in your passion. Well, one of the incentives there is when you serve, then you have the opportunity to learn for free. This one is a like 2.5 million worth British scholarship that I was able to study in the UK on public sector reform. That's okay, there. Okay. And this is the 2-year Asian Institute of Management training that I had. This is, for example, when you work in a public institution, you could get a scholarship to the Millennium Challenge Corporation Infrastructure College, again, allowing you to engage. You get to go to your communities, help the people, those who are really in need, and you get to be acknowledged because you don't work in that nook. You work in the places where you need at most to be. When I was in UP, I was active in the UP Muslim Students Association, aside from my engineering front, the UP Beta Epsilon, and my community organization, and the UP ACES. Why? Because I was active. I said, I will give my energies to the place where I am most needed. So you must reflect, where are you most needed? Then you try to angle your direction towards that. The importance of your career to society. Well, again, remember, my father died of hepatitis B, secondary to drinking water, polluted water from open belt wells. My father died and my uncle died. 3 of them died, all because of liver cirrhosis, secondary 30 years after drinking water from an open pit. And finally, as a professional, I get to go back, build a gravity-powered spring water source, water system that is now helping thousands of people in my community. Isn't that an incentive enough to work and go back home? And I'm helping in terms of peace. I'm helping change landscapes of my community. The Busayaf areas that you're scared about, you cannot solve that. It only takes people from that community to solve those communities. So check your communities. There are problems there. Then put that in your professional purpose to do that. This is my hometown community, where my grandparents grew up and my parents grew up. And this was once an Abu Sayyaf community. Nobody would go there. We built the road, that road. And people there were so poor, they would just go to politicians and become security guards. But now, because of the road, that guy don't become a security guard anymore. He just watches his huts. There's a hut there. He charges 500 pesos a day for 2 huts. Now he earns more than 50,000. A transformation only done because you built a road. You gave hope, and you are able to ask people to appreciate their communities more. Essentially, like what Professor Diliman had said, we have to analyze our society, and I realized that the only way for us to help the poor is go to the conflict-affected areas, go to the poorest communities, underdeveloped communities, reduce their costs. All companies do that, reduce the cost of transportation, support capital assets, and those kinds of sectors. You continue as engineers, we are logical. You continue your systems thinking if you want to help the society. And what's great in a public institution is ultimately, we as UP graduates, we can flourish in a government institution and we can leave ultimately, maybe after 5 to 10 years. And that kind of leadership is indeed needed. So, again, my advocacy is in peace and development. And through engineering, I was able to do that. Advice to students who would like to pursue your career track. Choose your company. From now, as college students, then what you want to go to, you can go to construction. What's great in the public works actually is that you are able to practice all types of engineering. You get to review all the costing, you get to review all the design, you could do project management, you could do environmental engineering, you could do project management, you could do consultancy. It's all there because of that huge organization. Choose your skills, be patient, be humble, be like the Chinese bamboo. The problem with us as UP graduates, we immediately want to be big time. But the truth is, for 5 years after being a UP graduate, you should still be humble because it's like the bamboo that requires time. But once it grows up high. Be careful of your social media. I have been trying to recruit hundreds of engineers already. And the first thing I do check their social media accounts and some weird stuff sometimes. But again, continue your network in the UP CAPES, in your organization, maintain that alumni network, because ultimately I realized after looking at a lot of biodata that I will never trust a biodata alone. I will only trust when a person says, this guy is good, because character, attitude cannot be seen in the biodata. I'm now closing. So there's a lot of civil engineers in NEDA, DPWH, DOTC, private, you could do construction, but whatever the case may be, I wrap up with the 5 things that you need to have after graduation. Number 1, that is character, your integrity, your word, because what comes around goes around. Number 2, your competence. When you graduate, you should have already developed competencies. And it's not only technical competencies, your ability to communicate, ability to write. These things I did not develop when I was first year in UP. No, it took every day because I know these are the pillars. You cannot only be a steel. You need concrete, you need sand. So therefore, in terms of competencies, you need soft, hard, and medium competencies in order to flourish, especially if, like me, you want to leapfrog. I could have been head of an agency like when I was 60 years old, but I was able to leapfrog that because I had developed all the required competencies, soft, hard skills. Number 3, connectivity, network with your alumni, network with your friends. Continue to find mentors. Number 4, have the courage. Have the courage to go and lose sight of the shore. Show your capacity and development. Dare to do what you really want. And number 5 is, but before I say the number 5, I'll just go through this. Again, this is my network. Last 30 seconds. So great feeling to go to the communities and see the impact. If you want to progress, learn to be a manager. Try to take the career executive service exam. Have some principles in life. You know, the 5th, by the way, is contribution. If you're an employee, the number one thing that I want you to remember is completed staff work and accountability for results. If you do that, then you have resourcefulness and initiative. Never give your boss something that you did not fully do. Always give something to the boss, something that you have fully researched, and you will give your entire life to that. If you continue to do that, going beyond the extra mile, then from the one of the lowest echelons of the government of the organization, you will climb up high and you will leapfrog the organization. Completed staff work, accountability for results, these are truly most important. And so, in closing, I'd like to give this learning that I had experienced while working in the communities. That darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that.